Hello everyone, welcome to today's lesson. Today's lesson we're going to be discussing formula and functions in Excel. So we're going to be looking at some basic formula that you can use to operate on numeric values in Excel, and of course inbuilt functions that we can use in Excel. So straight to it, I will go to my worksheet here. My worksheet has some data that I had typed into it. So we have maybe I can do a little bit of formatting to make it look a little interesting. So we have this kind of data here, and so I will start with how to write formula in Excel. And to write formula in Excel, we have two kinds of operators that we can use. We have arithmetic operators, and we can also use have relational operators. So to begin with arithmetic operators, these are the kind of operators that we can use to perform additions, subtractions, multiplications. So for example, if I wanted to perform some arithmetic operation here, I want to get the total for the marks scored by Ken, for example, I can select this cell where I want it to be the total to appear, then I will enter the formula in the formula bar. That is basically what the formula bar is supposed to do. So the values that I'm trying to add are in cell F8, G8 and H8. So I'll just say equals to F8 plus G8 plus H8, like that. And you can see straight away when I move the cursor out of that active cell, I have the total appearing in that cell. So if I wanted to get the totals for these other persons, Wayne, Shane and Jenny, I would simply drag this square down there, and I will copy the formula. And because I'm using relative referencing, which we had looked at in the previous class, the formula will change automatically to suit the new location, and therefore I have the totals for those other guys. So that is subtracting. So if for example I also wanted to perform some that is addition, so if I wanted to do some subtraction, maybe I can subtract that and see what we have. If I wanted to perform some subtraction there, so I'm adding the value in F8 plus G8 and then subtracting the value in H8. I can do the same for these other cells, and that's what I get. So F11 plus G11 minus H11, I get 14. F10 plus G10 minus H10, I get 67. So that is basically about arithmetic operators. Now for the relational operators, these are used to compare values by returning true or false depending on the magnitude of the values being compared. So the possible values we can get with the relational operators is either true or false. So for example, let me compare the values here. Say for example, I can say that the value, the marks that Ken scored in physics, so that marks is in cell F8, is equal to the mark that is scored for physics, which is in G8, for example, G8. We can see clearly that the value in F8 and the value in G8 are not the same. So if I run this command, I expect a value of false. The value that should be returned here should be false. So let's see if we get false or right. We get false. So that is basically what we do with relational operators. So we can say, for example, in F8 is less than what we have in G8. That is symbol for less than, and we run that. We expect the value to be less, so we expect it to return true for us, and it returns true. If we say, for example, less or equal to, that should also return true, and we get true. So that is basically what we have with arithmetic operators and functional operators, and that is how we write formulas. You can make the formula as long as you want to accommodate all the values that you want to be included in your formula. So that should start you off to writing complex formulas as you want to fit in your particular scenario. Now let's look at functions. Let's look at functions. So functions are inbuilt, predefined formula that can be accessed by a user for use in Excel. So instead of writing a formula every time you want to perform an operation, you can simply use a function. You can simply call a function, and this will make your work way easier. So I've just removed the formula that we had written. So we have several types of functions. They can be categorized into 4. So we have mathematical functions, statistical functions, logical functions, and then data and time functions. The 4 categories again are mathematical functions, statistical functions, logical functions, and data time functions. So let's begin with statistical functions. So statistical functions are used to analyze numeric data. These ones can be used to analyze numeric data, and if we want to calculate things like average, mean, median, variance, standard deviation, then we'll use statistical functions. So for example, we may want to calculate the average of each of these 4 individuals. So let me call it the mean. So I want to get the mean for these individuals here. So to get the mean, I will use the function average. So to use a function, we must start just like we did with the formula. We must start with the symbol equal. So we'll say equal, and we are trying to find the average. So in order to to access the inbuilt functions, we can just click on this icon here, the fx. You can see once I highlight it, it tells me to insert function. So insert function, if I click on it, then I have a list of functions that I can use. Of course, the ones that are listed here are the ones that are most recently used. So in this case I need average, so I just, the way it is highlighted, just say OK, and it is there. So the average of values that I'm trying to find, the values are between F8 to H8. So I'll just change here, it's not I8 to H8, like that. So these are the values that I want to be included. So right there, so I have the average, and if I want to write, instead of writing the function here and here and here to get the averages, I can just copy it and boom, I have the averages for all the 4 guys who took the exams. So that is how we use the average function. So there are other functions that we can use here. We have count function, we have marks, we have main, we have rank. So we can use all that. For example, if I wanted to get the maximum marks scored here, so let me say I want to get maximum, like that, so if I want to get the maximum value, then I'll just come here and insert function. And what do I want to get? I want to use the max function because I'm trying to find the maximum number, and the maximum that I want to get is the values between F8. I want to get the maximum from the list of these values from F8 to H8, right, and you can see the maximum between 34, 56 and 76. The maximum of the 3 is 76. So if we do the same there, the maximum here is 84, the maximum for this guy is 48, and the maximum for this guy is 76. And that's cool. We have the maximum. You can get minimum, you can get more, you can get rank. Now, so next I want us to look at mathematical functions. So we had performed some mathematical operations earlier on using the formula, but now we can perform those mathematical operations using inbuilt functions, just like we did with the statistical functions. So let's come here, this column here. I was saving this column for this session. Let us get the total. In the first time we got the total, we used a formula. We wrote the formula adding this plus that plus that. Now let's this time around use a function. So which function are we going to use? You come to insert functions here and you peruse through the functions here. We have sum. So this sum will help us to add up the values within the provided range. So we say that, and from F8 to H8, very correct, and we are going to be, now look at that, so simple, and we have our total. Now we can do the same and copy it across, and we have the totals like that. So that is sum. That's how we use sum. And please do not forget that this cosine here is what tells the worksheet that what you're entering is either formula or is either a formula or a function. So you should not forget that. So other mathematical functions that you can use are product, absolute, round, you can have sum if. So those are some of the mathematical functions. So for example, if you wanted to use the product function multiplies everything in the range of cells that is provided. So if we said product or product here, then if I want to get the product, I can just type the function like that, and of course I can also get it from the list there, but then let me just type it in like that. So this one will multiply all the values in the list provided, and you multiply 34 plus 56 plus 76, you get this value, and I like doing that because it makes my work so easy. That's what we have. So it multiplies all the values in the range of cells that is provided. So that is what we have. Now down here I can also get the total. So if I want to get the total here, I can just go and get the sum of the values, and the values will be ranging from F8 all the way to F11, and that is correct. So can get the total there and get the total here, and I could even get the subject mean. Let me move this one, let me move it down one step. So if I want to get the subject mean here, subject mean, the mean here, of course we said we are going to be using the average, so I'll use the average, and the average values from F8 to F11 to get the subject mean, and that is the subject mean. I could do the same here to get, so you look at this and realize that CRE has the highest mean, and that is how beautiful using electronic spreadsheet is if you compare it to the manual spreadsheet. So that is mathematical functions. So we've looked at statistical functions, mathematical functions, and please feel free to try all the other functions that I've mentioned but have not used, or you have found in other sources and we have not used here. So it is so let's look at let's have a look at logical functions. Let's look at logical functions. So logical functions, their work is to return true or false from a list of arguments. True or false from a set of arguments. So for example, assuming we got this means here, the means we have here in this particular column, and I wanted to grade these guys, so if I want to grade these guys, then I can use a logical function to grade them, so that if somebody scores a given mean, is given particular grade. So for example, here I want to use the if function. So I'll just say that I want the grade to appear here, so I'll say here that if, no, don't forget about this, if this particular cell J8 is greater or equal to 70, for example, then that person scores an A. But if the value in J8 is greater or equal to 60, it's greater or equal to 60, then this person gets a B. If that value in J8 is greater or equal to 50, then I want a grade of C. If grade, the value in J8 is greater or equal to 40, we'll award a grade of D. Like that. What if the value is less than 40? We'll simply say this person has failed, so we'll award a grade of fail. Then make sure I have how many brackets? 1, 2, 3, 4. I will close all the 4 like that, and let me see what I get. So the score of our guy, the mean is 55.3, and 55.3 is greater or equal to 50, so this guy gets a C, and we can see that guy gets a C. What about these other ones here? This person gets a fail, an A, and let's change this one to 65, for example, and that person gets a B, and that is so nice. So we have used the A function to grade these individuals. So we have other functions like AND, which only returns true if all the arguments are true, or those are logical functions, which is it makes our work easy. So if I had 100 students to grade, for example, I would just write one formula here, copy it through the 100 rows, one formula here, copy through the 100 rows, one here and copy through 100 rows, and I'll have graded my students. So it is very nice. Now one of the functions, statistical functions, that we saw was rank. Now it would not be fair if I left this data like this without ranking the candidate to see who gets number one. So I will rank them here using the rank function. So the ranking, I want the ranking to be done using the mean, because people can have different means but then they have the same grades. So I want ranking to be done using the mean, and therefore I will rank using this one here. So I will say that I want to rank, so I will write rank, and what do I want to rank? I want to rank the value here, which is in J. This is J8, so I want to rank the value in J8, and the range of values that I want to use to rank it are from J8 all the way to J11. So J8 to J11, and I want to rank it in ascending order from position 1. So I'll have that, and if you look at that, this one ranks as position number 2. So what I want to do is to copy this formula, but then if I copy that formula, remember what we said about relative referencing. These values here will keep changing to suit the new location. Maybe we should try it out and see what happens. So I'll just copy it here, and you realize we are in some kind of trouble, because there is no way that we are having this value, I mean of 36.333, as position 1. So we are in some kind of trouble. So, and this becomes position 8, and it should be position 1 from the way we see it. So I will want to come here and use absolute referencing. Now we can see why absolute referencing is very important, so that this range here doesn't change, it remains the same all through. Alright, so I have that. So then I come and copy it here, and look at what we have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Descending order. Alright, descending order. So we have from this will now be position 1, 2, 3, and 4. We rank them in descending order. So in descending order, the highest is position 1, and the lowest is position 4. Now this is what we want. So if we have this, we rank them in descending order, in ascending order, sorry. So we have the lowest being sorry, why is this one changing to, so I want it to be in that, so that we arrange them in ascending order, so that the lowest is position 1 and the highest is position 4. But we do not want to rank them like that. We want the students with the highest mean to be position 1, so I will change this from 1 to 0 so that I arrange them in descending order like that. So I'll come here and copy it there, and wow, we have the correct positioning. So this one gives us the ranks of the position. So we have used a number of functions here. Now next I want us to do a little bit of date and time functions. So date and time functions, these functions are used to manipulate date and time arguments. Some of the functions that you'll find here are date functions, so you can have date function, you can have now as a function, you can have today, you can have hour, you can have minute, you can have second. So let's try having date function. So if we have date function like that, then the date function needs to have the year, month, and day arguments. So if we say the year is 0, the month, my current month is November, so I'll say 11, and the current date is 16, so say something like that, for example. And this is what we have: 16th November 1900. So Excel uses 1900 as the base year. So if you want to get the current year, you need to add the number of years that have elapsed from 1900 to date. So we are in 2021, and therefore I will add here, for the year I will have 121. So if I do that today, now I have today's date. Now let's see what happens if I wrote the function today. Look, today straight away gives me today's date. Now there is also the function now that should give me today's date and the current time. So now gives me today's date and current time. Now from this current time, I want to extract the current hour. So we are in this one is cell A3, so I want to extract the current hour, and therefore I'll just say that I want to extract the current hour from cell A3, like that, and current hour is 8, as you can see. What about the current minute? So I'll just say I want minute from cell A3, sorry, that, and the current minute is 24. What about the current second? What is the current second? So second, like that, and the current second is 13. The current minute has changed automatically to 25, and that is what we have. Now you can see that the date takes arguments for the year, the month, and the date. Today takes no argument. Now takes no argument. Hour takes argument of the position where it wants to extract the hour from, and minute, just like the hour takes argument, and second finally also takes an argument. So these are the basic functions. These are the basic functions that you can use in Microsoft Excel, and together with a few examples that we have looked at, and you can look at more. So up to that point, we'll stop this lesson, and I hope you have learned a few things here and there. And the secret is practice them, continue using them from time to time, and you will find yourself in a better place than you were before.